Jen, thank you so much for being here today. It's such a pleasure to have this time together. Will you start by sharing a little bit about January Ventures and the types of companies that you like to invest in?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Kristen. I'm thrilled to have this discussion. January Ventures is an early stage venture fund. We invest at the pre-seed and seed stage, and we're really trying to provide first capital in to founders that are building venture scalable businesses. We invest in software companies, and our focus is on companies that are bringing technology to legacy industries and processes. And so most of our portfolio are B2B companies. We love unsexy industries. We do a lot in supply chain, manufacturing, energy transition, healthcare. Think of antiquated industries where a lot of value can be unlocked by leveraging technology. And again, we really come in early. Founders don't need a product. They don't need revenue. We think of ourselves as that partner from inception stage to help founders get from 0 to 1.
Love it. And, you see a lot of deal flow, you see a lot of great companies, and it's a tough fundraising environment right now. What do you see among, the best prepared founders, the smartest founders? What gets you excited to deploy capital?
I think it starts with founders really understanding their business and what are the business drivers that are going to get them from one stage to the next. And then also just, running a clean ship, having their ducks in a row, whether it's, on the team building side, on the back office side. Running a great fundraise is really about running a process. And there's a lot of preparation that founders can do to be ready to jump into that process. In addition, we see that great founders, particularly in this market, are taking the time to really understand what it takes to raise a round right now. And not just any round, but if you're going out to raise a Series A, what are the specific metrics? What does that momentum need to look like? Because what we've seen in the last few years is that the benchmarks have really changed and the bars are much higher than they were a few years ago. And so founders are really doing that research to understand for their geo, for their stage, for their industry, what is it going to take? And then I think, the key to running a great raise is, again, having those ducks in a row, knowing your business. And the second that you feel that inflection point as a founder, going out to raise. I am a big believer that you raise when you have momentum, not when you need to raise from a balance sheet perspective.
Yeah. And quick follow-on question, because I talk with so many founders who are pre-revenue, some of whom are pre-product. And I think a lot of founders are like, I don't know, is it time yet? Like, I don't necessarily have the traction metrics or the revenue numbers that I wish I had at this point. What do you like to see among some of those founders who are very early and might be pre-revenue? Like, what are some of the leading indicators that get you excited?
It's a great question because, as I said, we invest before companies have revenue. And so what we're looking for, when we go out to evaluate an investment, we obviously are looking for a massive market. It used to be that companies could go public with a couple hundred million in revenue. And now, companies really need 500 million to $1 billion in revenue to go public. Those are the outcomes that we're looking for. And so we need to underwrite to a large market. But more than anything, Kristen, what we're looking at this stage is the team. And so, what we look for is a team that has some unfair advantage in the market. Why will this team win? And sometimes that comes down to their market expertise. Other times it's their lived experience. Other times it's their technical skill. But what we look for are founders that can build with momentum and really have a bias toward action, or bringing a product to market, and then have the peripheral vision to see where the biggest opportunity is. The one thing I know at the early stage when someone pitches me is that in success, the idea is going to change. And we need to believe that those founders are going to be able to see where the biggest opportunity is over time.
Love it. And I would say that January Ventures, and you specifically, you all are such thought leaders, and you really keep a finger on the pulse of how the sort of founder and startup ecosystem is doing and feeling about things. I'd love to ask you to share a little bit about your annual report, and or anything else that is really exciting to you right now.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, one of our core values is transparency. And so we started this founder research 6 years ago to really do our own customer research. And we have been really lucky to have, partners like you in this research. And what we learned this year, we just released our 6th annual early stage founder report. It's now the largest longitudinal data set of early stage founders. And there are 2 things that really stuck out that I think are shaping our strategy and how we're helping our companies. The first was that we dug into AI, and lots of companies are saying they're AI companies, but what we were most interested in is how is AI changing company building, and how does AI allow founders to build in a much faster, more capital efficient way. And so that's something that we are really excited about and working on with our portfolio companies, and just talking to companies in the market about how it is enabling them to move faster and smarter. And then the second thing that was really interesting was about where founders are building. And, we are big believers that Silicon Valley is a mindset, not just a geography. But what we found in the data this year is that founders are deliberately choosing to build in geos beyond just San Francisco and New York. And one of those top geographies was here in Boston. And so, I am very bullish on Boston. That's where I'm located. But it means, it's really informing a lot of our focus on Boston in the coming year, and really doing a lot to work with founders here and fund them early.
I love it. And I think like one of the things that I always love seeing in your annual report is how important community and relationships and network are to people. I think, but maybe that's one of the reasons why some of these, additional markets and communities have been so impactful, because of the kind of community that people are finding there. So thank you for all that you do to support the community and the founder ecosystem. And thank you for spending this time together today.
Thank you, Kristen.